Okay, nice time having in Thaira, jumping from here to there. Nana. I say, I love to cook.
Hmm.
He says, really?
Hmm. I have never seen you cook. You cook? Hello, and welcome to another episode of Parenthood, the podcast where we dive deep into the beautiful, challenging, and rewarding journey of parenthood. I'm your host, Neha Garg, and I'm so excited for today's episode because we have a very special guest with us. Today, we have the privilege of diving into the life of Priya, a dynamic CEO and a devoted mother. Priya is the driving force behind Ormax Compass, a leading market research firm. Balancing a high powered career with motherhood is no small feat, but Priya approaches it with grace, determination, and a heart full of love. Priya, welcome to Parenthood. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I think it's a topic close to my heart.
Yeah.
And I think what you said is right because some of my friends and those who know me very closely call me the CEO mom.
Yeah. But you are.
Yes, I am. And I think it is a journey and it is something that you learn along the way.
Hmm.
And there is no playbook for parenthood.
Yeah, yeah. I think you've said it so beautifully. And before we get into this parent side of you, Priya, let's talk about you a little bit. If you were to tell us maybe three words or three phrases that capture you as a person, what would they be?
Explorer,
Mm-hmm.
and I would say very, very scientific in my approach
Hmm.
and playful.
Playful, yeah, we know that. And Priya, if your life was a novel, what
Mhm.
would its title be, and which chapter are you on currently?
I think the book is CEO Mom for
Yeah.
sure.
Uh-huh.
The title is How to Live Life Gracefully.
Hmm. Yeah. And beautiful. I think it's very beautiful. We'll get to know the details, I think along the way. But now coming to your family, your partner Keith and your daughter, how are they as people? Tell us something about your family. What makes you guys? What the three of you?
I think as a family, we believe in open communication
Mm-hmm.
and dialogue.
Yeah.
And I think that has been the basis of our love and friendship, both Keith and I.
Yeah.
We discuss everything.
Yeah.
And as I tell people that before we got married, Keith and I discussed, which people might not be able to understand, we discussed who's going to die first.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And at that time, I realized that the fact that we believe that we discussed everything
Hmm.
about our life. And the fact that we were getting together was a reason why we wanted to be together.
Hmm.
And there would be ups and downs,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
And there would be challenges and there would be fights. And I think we are the only family we'd like discuss everything so animatedly.
Yeah.
Like my dad one day said, like, why are you fighting so much? Are you like splitting up? I said, no, this is normal. If you're not doing it, then there's a problem. And at that moment, I realized that that's been the bedrock of our relationship. And that has carried us. And that's what I think Taiga has picked up as well.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I think that's how that's how we are wired as a family.
Yeah. How long Keith and you have been together?
I think like, before marriage, we courted for 7 years because I was very clear that I couldn't get into a relationship without really spending time.
Yeah.
And I had to be sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And those were very early days. I lobbed a thought to my mom also, can we just live in together for some time to really check it out and all of that? Because my professor had said that, can you wake up with this person every day?
Yeah.
I said, well, experiment, right?
Yeah.
Psycho student.
Yeah.
My mom said, thoda jyada ho gaya na.
Hmm.
Let it wait. I said, okay, fine. Then, but how do I make it as close to understanding that,
Yeah.
right? Because you're going to spend the rest. And it was not about rest of your life and how can you all
Yeah.
be together, but that was not the thought.
Yeah.
And and I and I think that we're close. I think 28 years of married life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's been a journey of our own understanding, and we are not the typical parents, by the way.
Mm, mm,
I,
mm.
we just do what we think is right for our family, what we think is right. It's never driven by what society is thinking or peer pressure. It's driven by an intrinsic motivation of what's right for our family
Right.
at all points of time, at any point of time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what society thinks, right?
Yeah.
As long
Yeah.
as we are happy as a unit, and I believe that my brother, like in this workspace, it should be Wispy, my
Yeah.
mentor, my friends who I'm very close to, those
Yeah.
people matter to me. Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
and that's it. I don't overthink anything beyond that. Yeah.
Yeah. How old is Tyra now?
21.
She's 21. So
Yeah,
it's
21.
been more than 2 decades of parenting for you, Priya.
Yes,
Do you
yes.
remember your life before becoming a mother?
Oh, yeah, yeah, very vividly. I
You do.
think very vividly because I think when a child is born,
Yeah.
I think even before the child is born, I think you're carrying the child in your womb.
Yeah.
And I must share this with you that I think it was like hardcore into work, right? I was
Yeah.
traveling about 20, 21 days and passionate about my work and all of that. And of course, we wanted to have a family. So
Yeah.
it's not that, aisa ho gaya, chance
Mm,
pregnancy, nothing like that. Nothing
mm.
like that. But when I went for my sonography,
Yeah.
and the doctor said that, what's your profession? And I
Mm.
said, no, I'm doing this research and I'm traveling. He said, your body has got a lot of stress in it.
Oh,
And he said, this is the most beautiful moment of your life,
yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
And you have to let nature and
Mm.
environment tell you what to do.
Mm.
I love things like that, total
Yeah.
science. And I said, Acha?
Huh.
I came and told Wispy, you're on your own.
What? You took your maternity leave?
No, but in my mind,
Yeah.
that said, this is all stress.
Mm.
This
Mm.
is going to affect my baby.
Yeah.
It's affecting me. So it's going to
Yeah.
affect my baby.
Yeah.
I got out of that and I was in such a chilled cucumber mode.
Mm.
Which
Yeah.
we said, so I said, no, and he understood what I was saying.
Right. Right.
And I took that bloody seriously. Not
Yeah.
that I didn't work and I didn't go for meetings and all. And I said, anybody who's stressing me out,
Yeah.
not happening.
Yeah.
And I think that made a big shift in my mind about how your body can accumulate all this stress, the people that you meet, what's happening. And
Yeah.
for me, also to realize me as a personality, right?
Mm. Yeah.
The second moment happened when Tyra was being born, and I love my Dr. Noza Sheriar, and he said, Priya, don't try to be a super mom.
Mm. Yeah.
I said, yeah, okay, fine. And I'll just pack up all my doodads and my things that bother me and I'll just put it. I don't want to take unnecessary stress. Yeah, ये टूट गया, वो टूट गया, बच्चे ने ये किया, वो किया. I put everything, just
Yeah.
packed it up. And I said, let the house be as is. Whatever will happen, will not happen. But what they sense is possibly those things
Yeah.
bother me.
Yeah.
They do. They do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, fine. I said, fine.
Yeah.
I don't need to be that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's been a journey. And I think it's your own journey as a parent that the child also teaches you, right?
Right. Right.
And I think it's a good journey that way.
Yeah.
So that's my understanding of being a parent, as I
Yeah.
was.
How was it when she was born? Like, did you have support? Did you have family support? Did you have, a paid support? Because you said, it's Keith and you in your family.
Yeah. So by construct, we are a nuclear family.
Yeah.
Yeah. but Keith's parents were there. My dad was there. So my dad was very close to where I was staying. So
Yeah.
he would come and visit. Then Keith's parents were with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always had a full-time support.
Yeah.
Uh, because I'm very clear that what is my role and responsibility.
Right.
Tyra is my role and responsibility, and I believe in not only the physical development, I think by virtue of the what I've studied, right?
Yeah.
And I studied
Yeah.
child development as well. So I said no, I know what is my duty as a parent,
Yeah.
what I have to do, what I
Yeah.
have to do at work,
Right.
and what's doable, what's not doable, and and then that much only was okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe it takes a village to raise a child. I'm of the
Absolutely.
very firm belief of that, and that has held me in good stead.
Hmm.
And you know that and Tyra used to also come to the office,
Right.
um, and I think that's how we are, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's how I thought of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And because it's very
May I
interesting.
add one thing that
Yeah.
I had a working mom as well,
Ah.
and she worked for a British company called Burroughs Wellcome, and they
Okay.
had a crash in those years for
Ah.
mothers to make it possible.
Right.
And I have grown up, I've never had any problems.
Yeah.
I had a blast. I thought I was having a picnic all the time. And that's what my mom used to say, that
Mhm.
they used to love me over there because mera to full wiring is to play. At
Hmm.
any given point, right from childhood is to play.
Yeah.
So, and I think only L'Oreal as a company, I don't know if other companies have it, there has to be a focus that if women have to work,
Yeah.
there are those responsibilities, right? And
Right.
we also had my grandmother at home. So we've grown up that way. That's why I said it
Right.
takes a village to raise a child. It's not
Yeah.
that many sab kuch kiya, many kiya. That's not
Yeah.
the attitude. Yeah, that's
Right.
not the attitude.
Yeah, and it's very interesting that you say, Priya. You remind me. We've worked together for in the
Yes.
initial years of my career, and Tyra used to come to office. That's what I remember. What does she remember of it? How does she look back and talk about these things of her very, very, I think, critical memories of her childhood, that coming back
Yeah.
from school and then spending time with all of us,
Yeah.
or just in a corner doing her own little things.
I think she sees it as a very positive environment. I think
Mhm.
children sense positive environments.
Yeah,
And I think that's the testimony of Ormax and the way we look at life.
yeah,
And that's a safe space for people to thrive, right? And a
yeah,
child wants to thrive.
yeah,
What else the child? The child doesn't know anything. He only understands all these things, correct?
yeah, yeah,
And child understands that there is food. And you
yeah,
know, there's always food at Ormax.
yeah. Too much of it at times.
Yes, yes. And so the child knows that he's going to be fed.
Yeah,
The child looks for people who are positive.
yeah,
Yeah. And that's it. I don't think so there's anything else to it, you know,
yeah,
as
yeah,
long as we do the basics, as I
yeah,
would say. Yeah.
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 But how did the logistics of all worked out, Priya, for you? Like, how did it grow organically, like into the system that, you would come to work, she would come to work, and this is how it will play out? Or was it planned by you, or how did it
No,
come about?
not really when I look back. Not very. I rely on my instinctive.
Hmm.
And I believe that as a mother, you have that instinct. As a parent, we have that instinct. We have a very strong instinctive behavior.
Right,
And I did what was right for my family.
right.
And if those were the days she wanted to come, I said, oh, okay.
Yeah,
And I think that's what Shailesh is also doing at Ormax Media, right? Today the family has grown, they have children, they keep
yeah,
coming because I don't think so. It's separate.
right.
How is it separate? It can't be like one, like black and white,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's
This is
always an
your
and.
self, and this is your
Yeah.
home
There's
self.
only one identity. Like I always tell people, if you see me somewhere, I am the same.
Yeah,
I am that way. And
yeah,
I am like that irrespective whether you meet me at Ormax or you meet me outside Ormax or as a mom or whatever. I am Priya Lobo and my construct is this.
Yeah.
And one has to think of it like that. It can't be separate. How can it be separate? They're
Right.
not dysfunctional, right, in any
Yeah.
form.
Yeah.
And I always encourage young people to think like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's important for every human being to think like that, because otherwise, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this?
Yeah. Yeah. And did you always had this sense, like in terms of, I'm very interested to know, Priya, because this is what you've studied to be, right? You've studied
Yeah.
human behavior and especially child behavior. So before you became a parent, is this how you envision? I mean, I know it's been a long, long, long journey, but if you remember, how were you before becoming a parent? Did you know what you're getting into? And did your reality match your expectation when you became a parent?
I've not thought of it a lot deeply. So I'm a very, I would say, broad strokes kind of a person.
Right.
I think that's how my mom has also been up my upbringing has been
Yeah.
that way. And
Yeah.
I think I am like that. So it was always broad strokes with me.
Yeah.
Correct? That this, and within that I would explore, figure my thing out.
Yeah.
And I think figuring things out for myself is very important.
Right.
It's paramount. It's like I have to apply mine. Like if you came and told me something, I'll say, okay, now I'll think about it and then I'll read about it and possibly I was doing that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was also doing children research and I liked it and I learned from it. And then I said, okay, maybe this is nice.
Yeah.
Maybe this works, maybe this doesn't work.
Yeah.
And some things I think I just kept thinking about it and I call it reflections.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And by nature, I think I tend to reflect and introspect.
Right. Right.
And that's how that I think that's the way it is for me.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
it's lovely that you say that, because most of the times when we look back and when we retrospect, when we reflect, it all seems very glossy and very
mm,
rosy, and we can, and even at the tough moments, we can just look back and laugh about those now. But can you think of some really challenging moments that you had
yeah,
as a parent, and what happened? How did you deal with those?
yeah. I think one moment that I remember, which was very, very challenging, is when my dad passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, in 2012, and I think Tyra was in the third grade.
Mm-hmm.
And while I know what I'm doing, right,
Yeah.
and working and this, and there was grief,
Hmm.
right? And something happened because I was not fully present.
Yeah.
I could, yeah, there are times when I can just walk around and you not know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I remember that Tahira, I used to have a habit of checking her stuff and all, and said, okay, you only study, you only do. I
Hmm.
used to. Then one day she came and she said, look at that. And I saw a calendar. There were a lot of red marks and all sorts of things. And she's quite a kid who used
Yeah.
to do her stuff and all. I said, what's happening? She said, you're not there, but to talk and ask. I said, but I am there. She said,
Hmm.
you're not there. That hit me like a jolt. And I said, maybe I was so lost in that.
Yeah.
Or maybe I didn't know what is happening and I was there. But a
Yeah.
child will always know that you're not, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think she helped me heal through that process.
Yeah.
And I always look back at that time and I think that's why we're so close to each other because she could sense.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, it is going to take time. And then that journey and it got better.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what I remember was a challenge.
Yeah.
Of course, a challenge later on also is when the child is growing up, right?
Yeah.
At the 9 year pivotal when it starts with I know, then
Hmm.
how do you let that independence happen? And then when you become a teenager
Right.
and there are those spats that happen.
Mm,
And then I would talk to my friends and understand. And, how much what should I do?
mm,
I would talk to Keith also because we are both different parents, right?
mm.
And then when I was hitting menopause, I didn't know what was happening. So I told Keith, you handle.
Yeah,
Because I don't know what is happening to me.
yeah,
And then and I think that told me that one has to go through all this.
yeah,
There's no matter how many books you read, how many whatever, um, that's you. Therefore, I say whatever you read, that's one thing.
yeah,
Therefore, it is not nature versus nurture, it is
yeah,
nature and nurture.
yeah,
And
yeah,
therefore, everybody has to just be and understand what's right for your child. I always say, do what's right for your child, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Don't listen to somebody else, right? How will that person tell you what to do for your child?
yeah, yeah.
It's not possible. I'm going to the extent of saying not even your mother or your mother-in-law and father-in-law.
Right.
It is your child.
Yeah, yeah,
Do what's right for your child. It doesn't matter. I mean, like, how, how stupid can that be if you're not listening to your child but listening to someone else, right?
right, right.
And that's the only thing. If you ask me for any advice, that's the only advice that I have actually.
Hmm, hmm. And something stands out to me, Priya, when you said that, you and Keith are very different parents. So how are you different? Can you tell us a little bit about
Mm.
that? How are you as a parent and how's Keith as a parent?
I live life on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I am. I love being independent,
Hmm.
highly independent.
Yeah.
He brings in the caring, the nurturing, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important as a family, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um, and I think that's nice. And I think uh, it's nice when both parents realize what are their strengths and limitations and
Yeah.
uh, what is it that's going to take, right? That's why I say you complement each other.
Yeah.
There's no perfect, right? There's no
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Like my most funny moment was I was going off on a conference somewhere,
Yeah.
and Tyra comes and says, "Does this man know how to take care of me?" So what? I said, "Tyra, he's your dad."
How old was she?
Weird.
No,
Second, I'll
but
tell you. It's too
you have
funny.
to tell me how old was she at that point of time.
It's too funny. I was laughing. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Uh, I think when she was about 10 or something,
Are you
10, 11.
serious?
So I'm going to tell, and her tiffin, and she's like, she knows that morning, that thing, and Keith is not a morning person. He's cracked it. She's like, this man, will I go to school? Will I have two tiffin boxes?
And what did that man have to say about that? Was
You
he
upset?
offended?
You upset? What? How dare she? I said, basically, she's not seen you do it. She's got a legit question. She's got a legit question.
Yeah.
So what I did just to pacify her, some of the things like, aloo ki sabzi, whatever she liked, na,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter 2, 3 days, yeah, or maybe
Yeah.
4 days.
Hmm.
But okay. So fine. So she was okay. After that, she's never asked that question. Because Keith is only taking care of her now. When she comes from college and all. Keith, oh God, it was too funny. I'll never forget that. It was too funny. I laugh at that moment. And another one she did this to me when she was in the second grade
Mm-hmm.
because you have your support staff and everything,
Yeah.
like you have help, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember this, we were at Thekdi.
Hmm.
Okay, nice time having in Tyra jumping from here to there. Nana. I said, I love to cook.
Hmm.
He says, really?
Hmm. I have never seen you cook. You cook?
I have seen you.
Hmm. But she's right. She's
But she
right.
was right.
Yeah.
That's what I like about kids. They don't bluff you. They are innocent.
Hmm. Hmm.
This innocence is so, I find it very refreshing. It's
Hmm.
painful at times, but it's very refreshing because they actually tell you as is, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think that's a good quality.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a good quality. And maybe we as adults sometimes don't know how to handle that truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
and
disarming.
that,
No? It's because we
huh?
have built, it's disarming, no? We have built
Yeah, yeah.
so
It
much.
just jolts you. It
Yeah.
just, you suddenly, so I'm open to it. I don't know other parents, but I think that's what I like about children.
Yeah. Yeah.
That they're just honest. They're
Yeah.
just they and if you treat if that's inculcated at a very early age, I think it's a really nice thing.
Yeah.
I believe it's a very nice thing. And as parents also, you learn that, right? In the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And and now, Priya, like you said, children have that innocence, and we adults kind of
We
lose.
lose it over a period
Yeah.
of time, right?
And you have raised someone, you have raised a child who's
Yeah.
now an adult, so maybe you've kind of seen it firsthand.
Hmm.
And how has that happened? Has Tyra kind of lost her innocence in that sense? And how has that been, because now she is your child, but she's also an adult. So how has
Yeah.
that been for you?
I think I and that's the thing that at home, right?
Yeah.
You cannot handle the world outside. That's
Yeah.
not in our control. But what we
Yeah.
do at home is always we watch some things together. Like we watch Big. So we both love Big Bang Theory.
Mm.
So we watch that together,
Yeah.
and we do a couple of things together. We always go for a holiday together.
Yeah.
Yeah, all three of us. That's a family time. That's a me time, and we can just be ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, we do a lot. We watch movies together as well
Yeah.
because we love watching movies. And then she'll say, "Come, let's go for that movie."
Yeah.
And so there are those moments of innocence,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we do that. And I think there's a sense of playfulness also.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's pulling a fast one on us, and then sometimes we are pulling a fast one on
Yeah.
her. I think as you grow and your child grows, I've also realized that because she's the only child,
Yeah.
we become her siblings also at different
Yeah.
points of time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's
So
so beautiful. Yeah. If you think,
yeah, and I realized that because I've always had a brother,
yeah.
but Keith is the only child.
Ah.
And I realized very early that his mum is possibly his sibling
Yeah.
sometimes, right? Not so
Yeah.
much as dad, but I thought it was mum more.
Yeah.
And whereas over here, as she's 21, we are siblings at home sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes we know, I mean, some things are like she has the ability to share lots of things which I think children would not share with their parents
Hmm. Hmm.
because it comes from a sense of openness.
Right.
Very,
Right.
very difficult things like when you drink alcohol, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Our thing is open. I said no sneaking, no hiding. That's how we were raised.
Right.
Uh, so everything is discussed
Yeah.
in a way. Also, we allow her to figure out because her friend is her life, right? And
Right.
if she learns that, that is what she needs to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And if
yeah,
you live her experiences for her, when will
yeah.
she, do that?
No, no, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Not possible. Not
yeah.
possible.
And you talked about, because you touched upon alcohol, Priya, I want
Yeah,
to, also talk to you about various other things that come with adulthood,
sure.
drinking, friends and dating and all of that.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah,
And of course, then now she's growing up and career and, a graduation from education to work in that scenario, in that sense. Right now, you don't have responsibilities, and then when you get into workspace it's completely
yeah,
different. She's in that transitional phase
yeah.
of
That
her
phase of her
life.
life. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So how's that been, and how she, as a person, in handling all of that and in bringing those things to you?
We're just thinking, Neha, one of the things that I've always told Tahira that your parents are not perfect. We are human
Right.
beings.
Yeah.
And I've told her I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to screw up. I'll screw
Yeah.
up your tiffin also. I have. No,
Yeah.
not all days are good, right?
Yeah.
And now she understands that a lot more because she's also going to get into a career which is in a way similar,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And she's going to work. And now her understanding has grown that here, this is a mom. She's always going to look out for me,
Yeah.
but she's also a human being who gets tired.
Yeah.
Here is this dad who, like right now, like for example, Keith worked at Abuja and then he decided to take a VRS because we only thrive in good environments as a
Right.
family.
Yeah.
So when I felt that it was not right, we took as a decision. He took a sabbatical, but that was very good because that was the time when Tahira was in the 10th grade. I
Yeah.
was planning to take leave, but I said, now I don't need to. And he was
Right.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now when he's at home, Tahira says, oh, but what are you going? So I said, this is a time of our life where we can explore what we want to do. So he's
Right.
doing something in business. He's very good in investing money. So we've given him all our money. I said, that's your job. And make sure it triples and compounds. He said, I'm impressed. Yeah, we're giving her money. So this is our house.
Yeah.
And in that camaraderie, as I would
Yeah.
say, and in that we grow, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And and I always tell Taira that anything technical and all that little
Yeah.
detailing and all, no, you go to dad now, please.
Yeah.
As I say, हमसे ना हो पाएगा अभी.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite line.
Yeah.
And what I tell her, and I think she knows.
Yeah.
And we discuss things together. And then if there is something that career, and we both have been career professionals, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we discuss all of that and we say, okay, how should this go? How should you be tackling this? How should we approaching things,
Yeah.
right? And then you figure it out.
Yeah.
Broad strokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all.
Is she
And
also a broad strokes person, or is she a detail person?
detailed.
She is detail.
She can't handle my advice always. So I always tell her, this is how I think. And then I say, Keith, what do you feel about it? Listen to this man. Because I think what Keith brings with him is a
Yeah.
very different ability.
Yeah.
He's also a geek. He loves tech and computer, and he's got a very different bent of mind.
Yeah.
So it complements us, right? And I think we've always complemented each other.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
always says, don't ask me where to go and travel and all, you're very good at it.
Hmm.
But where visa and all those,
Yeah.
I said, Keith, you look at it, I'm going to get tired, exhausted doing it. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to do it. So
Yeah.
it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So the child recognizes that a parent is a human
Yeah.
and the child will have certain abilities,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we're fine as long as, every day you have to work at it, yeah. Like it's like when you come to work also no matter how I've been 30 years in the profession, I'm not going to say, oh, I know it all. अरे,
Yeah.
ऐसा थोड़ी होता है.
Yeah.
I have to go back now, Neha, right to the time when I joined as a rookie, right?
Yeah.
And I'm actually doing that, and you know that.
Yeah.
Not because I don't know, but there's a different joy.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing cities change and evolve and consumers evolve. And
Yeah.
if I say I represent the consumer in the boardroom,
Yeah.
it can't be a sham and bullshit, right? That
Yeah.
I've not met the consumer. My
Yeah.
team has met the consumer.
Yeah.
But they'll ask me, have you met my consumer?
Yeah. Yeah.
How will the recommendations come?
Yeah.
Correct? So I think one has to take all of this really, really seriously, according to me, right?
Mm. Mm.
And
Mm.
I think that's how I am.
Mm.
I'm a bit serious in my playfulness, as I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there something that, Priya, you would say that, Daira has taught you in her 21 years of being, like some
Yeah.
which
She's
she
taught me
has
something.
taught you.
Yeah, she's taught me that I, by nature, at
Mm.
home, I can't sit still.
Uh-huh.
Like every half an hour, I'll get up and do something. And one day, even on a holiday, huh?
Huh.
Okay, so this, I think she realizes I always get up early in the morning. My thing is like routine.
Yeah.
Sunday ho, Saturday ho, COVID na ho. I'm a creature of routine.
Hmm.
That gives me, I think,
That
the
kind of,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah, I've always been like that. And I think mostly it came even because at a very early age, I was into sports, then that discipline, and that worked for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works for me. And what works for me is works for me. It need
Yeah.
not be that. So, and I don't impose it on anyone.
Yeah.
But there is as a family, we all get up at one time, we eat at one time, we rest at one. I think
It's just
it's
easier
us.
that way.
It's us. It's us. I don't know for some reason we are like that.
Yeah.
And and I think she's also like that. So broad strokes again, and then we are fine. And and I think she taught me that you need to rest.
Yeah.
She asked me one day, and she's a little older, I think must be 10, 11. She said, what's with you? Why don't you sit? What's with you? 2 hours. I mean, like every half an hour, then something, and then something. And I think it was being a pain in the ass because, are you all are not doing anything?
Let's do something, huh? How can we sit?
Something.
Huh?
Yeah, how can you sit?
Uh,
And then when she said, what do you mean? How can you sit? What's the problem with sitting?
hmm.
Like you said, why do you have to stand up and talk? Sit.
Yeah. Sit down.
And and that was a changing moment. It was a
Hmm.
change. And I think that's what she taught me that it is not about being busy. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm like I like to do things.
Hmm.
Today I can be like a languid person on the sofa and not get up for 5 hours.
Hard to imagine that.
But I can. I can.
Hmm.
So I think in this journey of Thoughtful Thursdays with Priya Lobo,
Yeah.
it's my own journey and
Yeah.
evolution.
Yeah.
And and when she told me that, then I was doing some reading, and then there's this lady who was working for the White House, and she said, you know, it's insane how you get trapped in this thing of thinking and karna and all of that. And she borrowed from Judaism,
Hmm.
the Shabbat.
Hmm.
Shabbat says on Friday at 7 o'clock
Hmm.
to Saturday 7:30.
Uh-huh.
You stop work, you detox. Actually, you can keep your phone away. Worldly.
Hmm.
So in my mind now that I have kept practicing that. So on Saturday, it is just me and I can sit, I can cook, I can do whatever I want to do. It doesn't matter.
Hmm.
I will not even look at a call or it doesn't matter. My phone is also lying somewhere. Most
Hmm.
of the times it's lying somewhere, but on that day it's like a little. Then
Little farther away.
I'll sleep. I just like relax. I'll eat. I don't feel like cooking. We just not do anything.
Hmm.
That has taught me. And maybe that was one thing that she said struck me hard.
Yeah.
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 And I think it's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a
It's a
good thing.
very good thing. That's, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing. She said, why don't you sit? I said, okay.
Yeah. And
Maybe I'm constantly thinking, ye bhi karna hai, wo bhi karna hai. It happens, yeah. It
hmm.
happens.
Hmm. Hmm. And you talked about thoughtful Thursdays, Priya. So
Hmm.
let's talk about that bit. How did that
Hmm.
come about? You've come such a long way, such a long way, and consistent.
Yeah.
Every Thursday, like without fail. Suddenly, there's this YouTube link that comes to you. So,
Yeah.
how did that come about, and how has that journey been?
That is very interesting. And I think, as I say, it's a journey, right?
Yeah.
And two things happened actually at the same time in 2019.
Hmm.
Yeah. I remember dates because I think those milestone dates, right?
Yeah.
There's this friend, Mohit Gupta, he runs this book, City of Book Leaders. And he said, in Bombay, we're getting all these people to talk about the books and all of that. And Gaurav Mehta, who's my friend and his friend, and he said, ask Priya to talk. I
Mm.
said, oh God, I said, one more thing to do.
Yeah.
And I said, which book, which book? And I spoke about this book, Jesus CEO.
Okay.
And I bought it while I was traveling to some Allahabad, Varanasi airport pe tha. I liked the title. I picked it up. I must
Mm.
have read it. And I
Mm.
presented on that book, and it was so interesting when I read back again and I was
Yeah.
presenting on that.
Yeah.
Two things happened when I was presenting. A, I realized that people like listening to me.
Uh-huh.
Mm. And there was another gentleman who was presenting, and he was Padma Bhushan and like
Oh.
Manhasti. He came and hugged me. He said, "You don't know how good you are, how brilliant you are."
Ah.
And that was something happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I when that something happened that day.
Yeah.
I could feel it. Something happened.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And after that, I went for a student, like a student school union thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there something happened where this friend of mine says, Priya, you haven't changed.
Mm.
I said, I haven't changed. I don't remember. I remember
Yeah.
all my life is all broad strokes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He says, you've been like this all the time, and we used to envy you because your headspace was, you were something, yeah, nothing. I said, yeah, I don't remember. She says, that's how you were in school.
Mm. Mm.
So it became like a second value. And I said, yeah, was I like that? I mean, she said, yeah, always cracking us up. It was so much fun. And we used to envy you because we didn't know, like, how were you like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
I said, Acha, okay. Let
Mm.
me. So I'm processing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I remember that I got this book and it was given as a gift on my birthday, before my birthday, actually, not
Uh-huh.
on my birthday. It was this book by Julia Cameron, The Artist Way.
Yeah.
And I love that book because it's my type of book,
Yeah.
exercises,
Yeah.
reflection, and a bit painful because that process itself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I did it.
Mm.
Big game changer. And that's when I started writing my thoughts, my ideas, and the very pure space. I
Mm.
just got this inspiration that I should do Thoughtful Thursdays with Priya Lobo.
Mm.
Why, how,
Mm.
it doesn't bother me, never phases me. So I
Yeah.
just started, and what happened was I went for, we used to do workshops together. You asked me what I do with Taira.
Mm.
We used to find some workshops to do or go for NCPA,
Ah.
summer workshops. So Taira said, I want to learn the terrarium, how to do
Uh,
terrariums, because in school, I didn't get this chance to really do it and others. I said, let me go for one.
yeah.
And that's where I met Priyanka Pereira, who's my social media partner. And
Mm-hmm.
she was photographing all these plants and this, and we got together. And she really pushed me. I mean, the thing of giving up has
Yeah.
happened many times. And she said, no, don't do it on the days that you don't feel like it's
Yeah.
yours, right? But you have to do it. You don't know how many people love listening, and maybe if it's helping someone, why not?
Yeah.
And I had this awkwardness, and I didn't know, and every time, it was like an accountability partner.
Right.
And then it's on and on and on. And I quite believe in it. And there was another, I think, a very hidden ulterior motive and agenda.
Mm-hmm.
I said, when I say Thoughtful Thursdays with Priya Lobo, it will remind me that I need to pause.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my pause.
Mm.
That's my pause. And
Yeah.
I do. I take it very seriously. That's why I told you Thursday. That's my pause.
Yeah.
That's my day.
Yeah.
And I'm being thoughtful with you.
Yeah.
And it works. It works in many, many ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How beautiful. I.
And you know what the inspiration was? Future Group, Big Bazaar, Kishore Bihani, that Wednesday का सस्ता
Yeah.
दिन.
Yeah.
I said, dude, ये सबको याद रहता है तो ऐसे भी हमको याद रहना चाहिए. Thoughtful Thursdays
Thoughtful
with Priya Lobo.
Thursdays.
I
See.
said, okay, cool. He did it. Let me see if I can.
But it's working and
It's a nice thing. And I think that's what life is, right, Neha, in a way.
yeah. Yeah.
I think I can do all of this because at Ormax, I think I feel very liberated.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
it's like Wispy has never stopped me technically from doing anything.
Yeah.
So I really like it. I just feel I grow
Yeah.
there's no limit to it, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, yeah. And it's such a inspiring place to be, and
yeah,
I always believe that, like we find the place that we kind of belong
yeah,
to or deserve,
correct,
and like we
correct.
gravitate towards that without, or
Yeah,
if it doesn't exist, we build that for ourselves. And I am so
yeah,
glad that, you are kind of, Tahira was also growing up learning that there are
yes,
these kind of spaces, you don't need
yeah,
to be stuck in a loop of that continuous rat race and going with the grind. And I'm so glad that she's learning to be this person who can figure
yeah,
out in this especially at this critical juncture of her life where she will need to figure out sooner or later that what she wants
yeah.
to do.
But Neha, when I look back, I think it starts with parents.
Yeah.
That's the ecosystem.
Hmm.
Then your parents, like Xavier's was a big milestone for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always say, I say if I wasn't there, I don't know what I would have been or what.
Yeah.
And it's that ecosystem. Even when I go to Xavier's now,
Yeah.
I get goosebumps.
Yeah.
I feel the walls talk to you.
Hmm.
And I love it. I mean, I'm like the joke is I always see people, 2 years there, it doesn't count. 5 years, count. Okay, that's just
Yeah,
being
yeah,
me.
I know what you're saying because that's the how I think about Micah, and like there are some people who do that 2 month course and they'll
Yeah,
write
it
Micah
doesn't
and
count.
like Nakli Micah and
Yeah. And I realized that much later, my uncle said, when you study at Xavier's is equivalent to Harvard's
Mm-hmm.
because he was in the US, and then the thought process and the thinking
Yeah.
and and in fact, I was just telling our CFO Kamlesh Mukherjee
Mm.
that I was going to apply for IMA and I was studying for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to SNDT College and did a 1 year course on consumer behavior and marketing because I was in that application
Yeah.
mode. And I was with the vice chancellor designing the curriculum and education curriculum.
Yeah.
My mom said, "What are you doing?"
Hmm.
I said, "This कर सकते हैं curriculum. क्यों नहीं कर सकते?"
Huh.
I think I'm pretty well educated to design curriculum, I told her.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
did that. I went for internship to IIM Ahmedabad. I was there for 2 months.
Hmm.
And I realized that the conversations I was having with those people. So this one guy said, "Do you really want to come here? I mean,
Hmm.
what are you going to do over here? In
Yeah.
fact, they'll destroy what you know because they want you in."
That particular mold.
Yeah, and they say, and he said, "You will be destroyed."
Hmm.
I said, "What?"
Hmm. Such a strong thing to say, no?
And he's a very good friend and he knew me. I mean, you know how it is in Ahmedabad, na?
Yeah.
Very then walking here, walking there, doing this, doing
Yeah.
that. And I love the campus. And that really changed. I
Hmm.
came back, I said, of course, my mom gets furious with all my decisions. I said, no, let's think about it.
Yeah.
Then that whole job thing starts, right? Will I get employed and all of that? And and I said, okay, I have to get up in the morning. And then I was circling all those classifieds and
Mm.
saying,
Yeah.
please give me a job and all that.
Yeah.
And then I saw this Ormax ad. Some
Oh,
classic.
it was
It
in
said we are
London.
looking, yeah, that those days,
Yeah.
midday and TOI and
Yeah.
very nice. And it said we're looking for people who have done social sciences and all of that.
Hmm.
So I said, okay, I'll go for an interview.
Yeah.
And I was the last person to be interviewed. And it so happened that Wispy was interviewing. Normally it was Willie interviewing,
Yeah.
followed by Wispy.
Yeah.
Willie had conjunctivitis or something like that, or she was not
Oh.
well, and therefore Wispy was interviewing.
Hmm.
And I entered and I said, mm-hmm. And rocking away on this chair.
Yeah,
Nothing.
I can visualize him, sitting like that
And me smart ass.
hmm,
Okay. 4 बजे इंटरव्यू 1 घंटा खत्म हो जाएगा 6:30 players fires like maximizing everything.
yeah.
Okay, then I said, this is going to be. So, firstly, I told him, after this, I'm going for a play at Sapphire. So, he was very intrigued with that.
Hmm.
I said, whatever it is, 6 baje, I'm zipping. And I'm thinking to myself, and here I'm telling, like, and all going on. But his questions were very interesting.
Hmm.
And nobody had, while those were in my head,
Hmm.
I said, oh man, there are other people like me. Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
And I remember he asking me all sorts of things. And he said, when you join Ormax, I'll tell you why I asked you this and all of that.
Hmm.
And then I asked him a few things. And I said, I don't believe you have an office at Worli Seaface. Huh?
Hmm.
Till I see, I won't believe.
Hmm.
Eh, And he said, Acha? Yeah. I said, no, my parents have told me office hai, kidhar hai,
Hmm.
dekho, all of that. And then he said, take down my, those days, it was like you call on
Landline.
the phone,
Yeah.
landline. Take my number. And I used to carry these short, small
Ah,
post-its.
those, yeah.
You lose it.
Hmm.
I said, what?
Hmm.
No, you're definitely going to lose this. And I said, if I lose it, I won't call you. But if I call you on that day, and I asked him what time, what date, and all of that. Promptly, maybe 5. I said, this me, doctor. And all. Oh, you called? I said, am I getting the job? So he said, yeah, okay, but he's well now. Come to the office and all, like I think it was a Tuesday and a Wednesday or something like that. And I
Yeah.
said, fine. Rest is history.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
good fun. It was good fun. Yeah.
It was fun, and I'm sure it is fun till now.
Yeah, for me, it was like, am I working in an environment where I'm going to thrive? I
Yeah.
don't think so I was suited for these big corporate jobs. I've seen everything at Xavier's. I've seen a
Yeah.
lot more, right?
Yeah.
Before I came to Ormax.
Yeah.
So I knew I am going to challenge the paradigm.
Yeah.
And I don't sugarcoat anything. I should not sugarcoat, then I don't sugarcoat now. So
Yeah.
then you need that environment that helps you thrive and say, that's fine.
Yeah. And
And
also
what are the
protects you
profession
in
that we
time.
are in this profession anyways, which requires that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so Priya, we are coming to almost an end of this conversation. I have
yeah.
two more questions that I will ask,
Sure.
and then we'll wrap up. So one question that I want to ask you is that, is there something that uh you I mean you do which is unconventional when it comes to parenting, and you don't feel guilty about it at all? You're just like, okay, this is my way and I'm gonna do it this way.
I I believe the child knows what it can do, can't do.
Mm-hmm.
I think I see that we both saw that as a responsibility that
Yeah.
this child is going to be in this world. So
Yeah.
this person
Hmm.
has to be respectful
Yeah.
of another human person,
Yeah.
right? At all times. And if
Yeah.
this person is
Hmm.
that's more than enough for us.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that might seem unconventional, conventional, I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's the only duty I think we have. Of course, education and all, I mean, that's all supposed to,
Yeah. You
happen. But
figure that out, on the way. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
but respect,
Yeah.
teaching the child to love,
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a given that, you can do whatever, but Tyra is also equally caring towards us.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's more than enough. That's more than enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's more than enough for me as a parent.
Yeah.
Will she take care of me in my old age and all? I don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't care. I mean, I don't even expect.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be loving and caring and respectful to other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was our responsibility. And I think she's 21. She's an adult.
Yeah.
And I've told her that at 21, Tahira, you can always ask us, but you're also an adult
Yeah.
and you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there'll be so many challenging situations. And maybe I have not thought about those, right? Because the
Yeah.
times are different.
Yeah.
They're so, so different.
Yeah.
So you also have to keep, luckily, our profession is such where you're meeting a lot of young people. And that's why I like this profession.
Yeah.
I always say I hang around more with young people than with old people.
Yeah.
And I'm good.
Hmm.
So, and that's what we are supposed to be, right? So that I think profession wise, as my own personality and
Yeah.
our personality, that works well. So
Yeah.
that's how it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite insightful in terms of
Mm.
how you I mean, I think it's the crux of your parenting journey.
Yeah, yeah.
From at least from a third person's perspective, as an outsider, when I'm seeing it, when
Mm,
I'm hearing it,
mm,
that's what screams out at me as, has
mm.
been your kind of mantra to raise Tahira, and for the
Yeah.
last 21 years. And
And I think in a way it's also been at office, right? You have so many people, young people, old people, different
yeah,
people. And
yeah,
I always say the youngest person in the team needs the maximum attention because they are also coming to this world, right? Which
yeah,
they don't know.
yeah,
And there's so much trepidation, there's so much anxiety, there's so much, you know, how will I talk to Wispy? And
yeah,
how will I talk to this one? And how I'll
yeah,
talk to that one?
yeah,
And I think it brings in that sensitivity.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Beautiful. Okay, Priya, last question to you as we wrap up.
Sure.
I want you to, you said you don't like giving advice, but I want you to give advice to all
Mm.
our listeners. If you were to leave them with something that embodies your spirit and resonates with your journey, that one piece of advice or insight, what would you say?
I'm saying it a lot more now, and I think it's important. So I think we have to stop being idealistic.
Yeah.
That doesn't,
Hmm.
there's nothing ideal,
Hmm.
and there is nothing called perfect.
Hmm. Yeah.
If we just reflect on these two,
Yeah.
I think we'll be good.
Yeah.
And we'll be far more human, and we'll be far more understanding, and we'll be far more sensitive to
Hmm.
what we are around.
Yeah.
And for mothers
Hmm.
specifically, I think rely on your instinctive behavior.
Hmm.
You are a mother, and I'm also talking about dads. Y'all are the parents.
Yeah.
Y'all will know what is right for your child.
Yeah.
And doesn't matter if the world is not supportive of that idea.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
Hmm.
Radical as it may sound, but I think it is sound judgment.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we need to hear more of it.
Hmm.
I think somebody, not just somebody, many buddies need to come up and say this, as
Yeah,
vehemently as you are saying it, Priya. I mean,
yeah.
it needs to be said and it needs to be heard. So thank you for saying that, and thank you so much for sharing your inspiring story, Priya. I think it's like the whole the whole journey of yours, it's just a
Hmm.
playbook of playfulness, so to
Thank
say.
you.
And I'm sure that I'm really inspired. I have been really inspired by you since forever, but this hearing this story of strength and of resilience, and especially this will be a god gift to women, who want to balance their passions with motherhood without losing a part of their self. I really
Yeah.
like the fact that you said that, I am me wherever I go. So it's not that this is the work Priya and this is the home Priya now, and this is what you get wherever
Yeah.
you see me. And yeah, and we're truly truly grateful for your openness and vulnerability in sharing your story with us today. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me over. I think it was nice. It was nice.
Thank you. And now, a heartfelt thank you to all of you, our amazing listeners. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. Parenthood is a roller coaster filled with laughter, tears, triumphs, and challenging challenges. Thank you for tuning in. And if you like this episode, share it with fellow parents who could benefit from Priya's wisdom and experiences. And don't forget to subscribe to Parenthood for more inspiring stories and a sense of community. This is Neha Garg signing off. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye bye.